humanity. Putting truth in these lines while they busy feeding lies. When you got that tunnel vision, gotta open up your eyes. Wake up and go to sleep. Man, I'm praying all times. And to my guys, ain't no other side. This for my brothers, I'ma pray we all shine. Lock the door. Go ahead, lock the door. Lock the door. Go ahead, lock the door. Yeah, you already know.
Depending on the lessons, some people eat, some people learn. But the game is going to send you a big. Lock the door.
Professor Melly Bell, the Hood Postman. Who am I with today?
Oh man, it's Xavier Allen, aka Tick.
Tick. Good to see you, sir. Where did you grow up? First of all, where did you grow up at?
So I grew up between Fairfax, Hauser, La Brea, partially to Crenshaw. Growing up as a kid, that's kind of like my whole area. All the way to Rodeo, all the way back up to Pico. That's like the whole area I grew up.
What would that area be known to you in terms of gang culture?
That would be West LA.
West LA. So what hood did you belong to in West LA?
I grew up in the Geers.
In the Geer gang.
Yeah.
Westside Geer gang.
Right.
That'd be on Hauser.
Yeah, Hauser, Adams, La Brea.
And who were some of the people that you ran with? If you can name any of them.
Can you be a little more specific? Like people that I grew up specifically with out of the Geers?
Yes.
Oh man, I mean that'd take up the whole the whole interview. But I grew up with the Big Devils and the little T-Tops, the big T-Tops, the Bojangles, the Winos, them the people, the Pooty Wacc, that's more or less the crew individuals I grew up with, the C-Sains.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Pooty Wacc and Tick Tock. Definitely, they were some names that stood out over there. Definitely. So what schools did you attend in that area?
I went to Mount Vernon, Dorsey High, but back in those days, you was getting kicked out of a lot of them schools. So I ended up getting sent to Palms, kicked out of Palms, and went to Berindo, went to Paul Revere, went to Fauché, which was like walking in and walking out. I wasn't supposed to be there that long.
I used to play at Fauché.
Yeah, baby. I was there, baby, 45 minutes.
45 cents. What were some of the reasons why you would get kicked out during that time? Because I know this gang culture has evolved over time, but what were some of your reasons?
Well, walking in the pasture, they already knew who I was. So it wasn't no stand. It wasn't no running. So it was, some of the homies was coming, hopped the fence, got into the fight. I'm out the school. It's over. Mount Vernon was a little bit different. There was a lot of Crips going there back then, a lot of schoolyards, boulevards. So it was almost like a medium. The Harpies kind of rolled with the NHBs. So, we kind of stayed there a little bit longer in that environment, which we were more or less out of box for even being there. But, the other schools, it was, ended up going to jail for possession of sales, which was a hot thing in the mid 80s.
Would it be fair to say that back then the Westside was more connected than it is today?
Oh, absolutely. Not only through money, not only through the gang, but family and family relations.
Mm-hmm. And you say you went to those schools, but specifically, was there like more or less the gang fights or the gang struggling or to claim certain turfs, or you couldn't just be in certain areas to go to certain schools? What was that led to those situations?
So I'll give you an example with two different ones. So going to Dorsey, which is almost primarily a BPS school, during the 80s, you did have a lot of 30s there.
BPS, name what is
which
that?
is the Black Pea Stone, the Jungle Stones.
Okay.
Yeah, you had which is primarily their school because it's primarily in their backyard. But you had a lot of 30s there and you had a lot of Geers there. So that kind of weeded off the possibility of them dominating the whole school. I even went to Audubon, which is primarily like a 40 school, but you still had, some Bloods there. But the difference in this scenario, they had to sneak around because they wasn't the predominantly group of individuals there.
What is it about our people now? Some of the schools you name, I know were predominantly Crip, right? But for some reason, even though everybody had a blue rag, the only differences between anybody was that maybe you claimed Geer, he might have claimed 40, he might have claimed 60, he might have claimed West Boulevard, he might have claimed Marvin, then, so on and so forth. For some reason, that seemed to make a difference to Trip.
Well, it was tribal.
Trip.
It was tribal. So let's first and foremost go back to the original essence of us as a culture. It was tribal. So once we had the opportunity to identify and differentiate the tribal elements, we started to culturalize the name as family. And once it became culturalized, what I recognize is that the money and the drugs started to play a sinister part in us being divided as brothers in the human environment.
Who was seeing King set Trip from Geer? Am I looking at him?
No. No. No.
Everybody have a King set Trip. That's why I asked.
Well, it kind of depends, and I would have to say back in the 80s, it kind of depends. Where I come from, you had several individuals that had hands, but then you had some dudes that had elbows. Just because a dude can fight don't mean he can really squabble. So the probably Big Bojangles. He more or less was, when he come around, some dudes would tuck their pockets, and some dudes, probably Big Bo. Big Bro was a very respected, loving individual, and he represented something that a general would represent. He represented a general. We had a lot of different generals. Big Reg was a general. You feel what I'm saying? Big Wino was a general. Even the guy I grew up with, Big Diamond, was a general. I had some, dudes was generals, but Big Bojangles was more closer to that mold that you speak of.
Would it be fair to say they fit the mold of graveyard disposition with tombstone mindsets? And what I mean by that is
suicidal to some extent.
Yes.
I think we all were. I think we all pose this diabolical paranoid personality sense that we really didn't recognize that was haunting us. Even me, that was what was haunting me as a young man, not trying to fit in, but trying to make sure I continuously meet this mold every day and that challenge. If you say something wrong, it's not about compromise. It's about action. There was no such thing as verbal compromising.
Ticc, how did you get that name?
Actually, Big Boo gave me that name.
Big Boo from where?
From Geer. Big Boo. Okay. Well, Big Boogaloo.
Okay, Boogaloo.
Yeah. He actually, originally gave me that name. It really originally was Tick Tock. That was the name he originally. Him and Lil Ice. They originally gave me that name.
It has to be a reason, though. Why did they take that particular name, Tick Tock?
I would take off, as they would call it in the streets. I had hands, street hands. I was known for, being able to squabble, but everybody said they known for that. So I don't like to use that as a catalyst to what, my previous street reputation was, but that's what it was more or less, identified as.
So that's why you veered off from that set trip.
Yeah, it didn't have no value. It didn't have no value, brother.
No, I get it. Ain't no perfect messages. Is only messenger is only a perfect message. That's all.
Absolutely.
Ain't no perfect message is only a perfect message. And that's why we go into these dialogues, because at the end of the day, we're trying to paint a picture or show a narrative where kids Even though Tick Tock went this way, but we're gonna get to where he's at today.
Yeah,
and,
real
and that
talk.
was the purpose of going through this stuff. So let's get into a little more Geer Gang, and then we'll get into the other aspect of the interview. Geer Gang. There's also, you guys shared that space with 18th Street, right?
That was initially no. Initially, historically, they were just on Smiley and Adams, historically.
Mhm.
But as years went on, their process and situation expanded, then it became a territorial situation. But originally, no, they were just on Smiley and Adams.
Yeah, it's like, I remember there was a time when we inherit our properties and our homes from white people.
Right.
They surely but slowly moved out, and we moved in. And now I think it's the same way with us. We're moving out, and they're moving in. I think that's more or less,
What I kind of saw before I went in to do my stench is a lot of the people who became the homeowners wouldn't rent to the black people anymore. So the ones who did own homes, I'm not going to say it happened all the way from Los Angeles through Compton, but I know it happened to some degree. People were losing their homes because they were hitting them with eminent domain, and the police departments and the sheriff departments were taking their homes. So a lot of black people who did have homes and owned property, they were mostly losing their homes through drug seizures or eminent domain.
there was a time during my time, when gang members lived in their mind and not below the waist. And what I mean by that,
Oh, I understand clearly.
okay, I'm going to give a little more context, and then you can add to it. We didn't allow women to be in our business. And now today, it seems like they're more in the business than so the guys are. What's your take on that when you see that? I mean, because you come from that element, you've seen how it evolves.
Well, I think it's been a masculinity shift. And I believe the masculinity shift has been perpetuated through mass incarceration. And I also believe that the educational dysfunction that has been placed on majority of the black men has associations with arrested development. So when an individual who was a high roller from the 80s, who doesn't have the opportunity to accumulate any form of education during that time, what will be the more suitable job that most of them have now today? So that same job is the same job that the women can get. So you don't have a multitude of black men who are CEOs and executives for the last 20, 30 years of companies. Women will have the opportunity to start in a secretarial position, and they can move up some of those ladders. So what has transpired is the economic and social pendulum have shifted.
So you're saying that cross connect from, even if it's Fortune 500 to street level?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the reason I say it in this particular term is that a mother whose husband or boyfriend or baby daddy goes to jail, she's left holding the bag. So if he's gone for 10, 15 years, just as an example, she has the opportunity to advance her life and her citizenship. Well, when the individual who goes to jail, he has to restart and be reunited with his citizenship. And just like I did, you got to start from the toddler stage. So you walk into a bunch of adults in their citizenship when now you are a toddler in your citizen stage, not your physical stage, your citizen stage. And that right there becomes overwhelming to a lot of individuals. Some of them go back to drugs, some of them turn into couch potatoes, or some just take mediocre jobs, and they do not want to take on the proper experience of what education can provide to be able to get vocational training or to be able to get some extensive amount of college.
What is it about our people that they don't understand that education trumps most things? The more education, the more information, the more knowledge you have, it can empower you. It doesn't necessarily give you power, but it has to have a definite end that creates the power.
I'm gonna go a little deep. Is it okay?
Yeah, sure.
First and foremost, we're empirical people. We're dealing with things that are testable by observation. We are more of a tangible, hands-on type of people because history in these particular last decades has showed us that we have had the opportunity to gain wealth through hands-on scenarios. So if you ask an individual how many real grams are in a kilo, he won't know. He'll tell you how many ounces is because he was taught that 9 ounces give you a quarter and 18 give you a half and 34 give you a kilo. But he can't tell you how many grams is in each individual ounce and why and how does it come up to 252 when 252 is 1,008 times 4.
Mm-hmm.
So where's the other 8 grams coming from? Mm-hmm. So you can't get individuals to understand those mathematical equations because they didn't go to that type of school. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of individuals will not move into separate educational spaces because Arrested Development has told them, I have so much success making money this way. And then now that I'm forced to move into a different educational or economic field, I'm not going to spend 10 years trying to get educated again.
Do you think all that created the anxious society that we live in now?
Oh, absolutely. We live through emergencies. Our whole concept in the urban to poverty stage is we live through our emergencies. Our emergencies is our rent, our card notes, our date nights, things that are consistent with a 30-day to 60-day process. That form of impoverishment creates a different type of high-tech slavery.
Lock the door.
Cali Miners, baby. Proof of grind all the time. Music money, got a dollar sign. Hub City. I'm a street nigga, streets fuck with me. I'ma keep pushing products till the fans get me. It's guap off top, diamond Cartier. That nigga wall won't give a broke bitch the time of day. They see me climbing, they see me shining. That's hard work, proof of grinding. New money got me tipping in that 550. Ali, bad man, and I'm so pretty. I got that tech with me, that's my hater sprayer. Go big, grind now, nigga, play later. What can I say? I'm addicted to this paper stacking, and I don't talk about it, I just make it happen.